Good morning. Fortunately for all of you, Sam and I, neither one are going to do any singing or dancing. So many of you are likely thinking, a talk about technology. What a way to kill the great spirit we've been building over the past few days. Well, Sam and I hope we can actually keep that great spirit going, because what we really want to be talking about is relationships. Relationships affect how we communicate, build connections, support advocacy, embrace creativity, and problem solve. We are just going to talk about these relationships through the lens of technology. Technology is a tool for playing, learning, connecting, and yes, building relationships. Nothing polarizes a room of early childhood educators more quickly than a discussion about the use of technology. And for a good reason. There are many dangers in the use of technology, but by ignoring technology, we will not let that go away. We won't eliminate these dangers. Instead, it allows these dangers to grow. Technology is not going away, which means we have an ethical responsibility to take on technology and make sure it is used in appropriate ways. Much like the way Fred Rogers took on television for young children in the United States. Fred immediately saw the dangers of TV, but he knew we could not avoid it. So instead, he embraced it, making sure that children had access to high-quality TV, and he set a standard for children's television that is still accepted today.
Most educators understand how technology can be used as a tool to support their personal work. They use technology to connect with parents, to other educators, to support their planning, to assess learning, and some use it in inappropriate ways with children. But the capacity for technology to connect and support our work is endless. What can simple digital images of a child tell us about what she is learning, and how can we use that information to facilitate better learning experiences? How can a careful examination of our own practice using digital images and video reflection improve our work with children? How can access to high-quality online learning for teachers in remote areas impact their community? How can our collaboration with colleagues across the world change education for children we may not even ever know? When we embrace technology in meaningful ways, we are creating impact that goes beyond ourselves. Nowhere has technology made a bigger impact on our field than the area of advocacy. Organizations that once had small voices have become very loud through the use of technology. They're able to raise funds online, get their messages out to potential supporters, and create powerful advocacy messages using various technological tools. Watch this short advocacy video which illustrates the power of this tool to help us advocate for children around the world.
Every day, as we navigate the world around us, we are inundated with an endless stream of information that incites a sense of discomfort, anxiety, fear. And this is perhaps most strongly reflected in the messages we give to our children.
Don't talk to strangers. Sit down and pay attention. Be careful.
But what if the experiences from which we most desperately try to shelter our children are the very ones that would enable them to become successful, joyful, and capable citizens of our world? What if rather than telling our children to be careful, we instead put aside our own anxieties and recognize that there can be no learning and no innovation without risk, and instead celebrate that innate human drive to discover and then surpass our own limitations? What if instead we walk alongside our children as a guide and teach them to courageously navigate that intersection between risk and opportunity? Encourage them to cultivate a sense of their own powerful capacities and, perhaps most importantly, teach them how to stand up when they inevitably fall. What if rather than telling our children, "Don't talk to strangers," we instead invite them to see the humanity in their neighbors and to recognize that we and they are part of a much bigger whole? What if we push aside our own discomfort and realize that there is knowledge to be gained from a firefighter, a garbage collector, or just a random passerby. Because how will our children ever grow to be engaged citizens of a community of which they have no knowledge, and in which they feel they have no place? What if, rather than falling victim to the idea that direct instruction is the only path to success, we instead liberate learning from the desk and embrace the idea that the world is our first and most extensive classroom? Because physics can be found in a leap, and history can be found in a story from a stranger. And the child who can find a hidden universe inside a puddle is the same one who, when their time in formal education has come to an end, will continue to greet each day with a sense of curiosity, purpose, and wonder. We all want the best for our children. And perhaps if we took more time to view the world through their eyes, our messages would speak less of our fears and so much more of our hopes.
So this video was filmed entirely by student teachers enrolled in our teacher education program using only iPhones. Doesn't it make you want to go out and take some risk? I know it does for me. As the video states, no learning happens without some sort of risk. It is so powerful, it calls us to action. We want to experiment. We want to engage. We want to have an impact. That is the power technology can bring to educators' work.
So technology can impact our work on a very personal level, as well as a global level. Many of you have had the opportunity to take part in World Forum Zoom calls. As I am sure, connection issues withstanding, it has been an amazing seeing the faces of our international colleagues as we connect. It builds relationships on a level that was just not possible only a few years ago. When we can meet each other face to face, even if it is virtually, our work becomes more personal, and we are better able to see others' perspectives as we connect on a global level. Sam and I experienced this firsthand through the Children's Working Group. Through Zoom calls and many, many technologies, our group produced the Voices of Children documentary, which you saw earlier, as well as many collaborative publications. Our hearts are so full with the impact this work has made and will continue to make, an impact that could not have happened without technology. Some other World Forum community examples include Celio de Amar, a small NGO in Nicaragua that supports children with disabilities. They are connecting their Nicaraguan staff with therapeutic experts at the University of Oregon via Zoom as well, which has enabled them to provide better care to the children they work with. The Network for Early Childhood Education and Development in Bhutan, a Facebook community, has connected more than 10,000 members, bringing together not only early childhood teachers in Bhutan, but bringing them together with the world. Or the Tech Boot Camp in Kenya that is helping young Kenyan children engage with the world through experiences in coding, aerial photography, videography, web design, and robotics. As you can see, technology is a powerful tool that can help us embrace and connect with the world. But what we need to understand is this starts by observing and analyzing the natural interests and curiosities of children. In this short video, narrated by Ellen Hall, the founder of Boulder Journey School, you will see how children are respected as strong and capable learners, and how they engage in meaningful inquiry and play-based learning. Many might think this can't coexist with technology, but in fact, it does. They use technology as one of many powerful tools for learning.
I think if I had one thing that I could say, America, this is what education should be. It should be following the natural interests and curiosities of children. Children are adept at learning. They're adept at engaging in research and investigations and explorations. They're adept at collaborating with one another, working together to develop ideas. If we just follow them, education will unfold in a wonderful, wonderful way. It's when we impose our own perspectives, forget about how learning was for us when we were that age, and from our own adult vantage point, impose our ideas about what children should know and how they should learn on children, that we mess up.
Allison and Allison Marr, Boulder Journey's executive director, have pushed the educators at the school to expand their own relationships with digital life. One teacher reflected, "It is neither responsible or ethical for educators to sit back, maybe hoping the whole digital revolution will blow over, or perhaps hoping children's relationships with technology will be facilitated by someone down the road."
So let's take a closer look at how technology can help connect children to their community and even take them to the other side of the world. Many of you may be familiar with the idea of geocaching. Described as the world's largest treasure hunt, there are millions of geocaches worldwide. Geocaches are little objects, books, journals, or other items that are hidden using map coordinates and can be found by searching these coordinates on the geocaching app. There are approximately 1,200 geocaches in China alone. For those of you who participated in the Macau Heritage Walking Tour, there is a geocache route that follows the tour route. So our story begins with a group of preschool children who love to take walks around the school neighborhood. The class began to bring cameras with them on their excursions so they could revisit their experiences after they returned to the classroom. These walks and the gathered photo documentation led to the children investigating maps of their neighborhood and eventually led to an interest in treasure maps and pirate play. Brooke, the teacher and an avid geocacher, wondered whether geocaching might be a good way to combine maps and treasure hunting, so she suggested this to the children. Through geocaching, the class began to explore their neighborhood with a different purpose and newfound enthusiasm, finding new unexplored areas near the school and hunting down small hidden treasures they didn't even know existed. Children began to see treasures and connections in everything they did. They also began forging new relationships with each other and with their community by connecting in other areas of the school.
That spring, Brooke was attending a study tour in Italy and asked the students if they would like to create a geocache to leave in Italy. This was very exciting, and the children set to work on creating their own geocache, including a book and other items. In Italy, Brooke placed the cache in a wall located in the city park. About 3 months later, 2 geocachers found their treasure, which invited an exciting exchange across an ocean about culture, new friends, and food. At the children's request, the geocachers answered several questions posed by the children, drew a picture in the book, and shared this photo documenting their experience. Those of this experience with geocaching, through this experience with geocaching, the children had amazing adventures, made deeper connections with their community, and made friends across the world. You can still find this geocache in Reggio Emilia today if you happen to find yourself there. This use of technology was collaborative, inclusive, and active, the exact components we should look for when engaging children in meaningful technology use.
Now we'd like to share another short story about a very special class pet. Classroom pets can help a child understand that every living thing has needs, that these needs are not always identical, and that they, the children, can help meet those needs. One preschool class was interested in adopting a pet. Unfortunately, the class had a child with severe animal allergies, and that made adopting a live pet difficult. Around this time, however, we had a colleague donate a BB-8 robot, and we began to wonder if the class could perhaps adopt the robot instead of a real pet. The teachers decided to try a small group introduction at first, and the children took to the robot right away. They began referring to BB-8 as he and tenderly hugging the little robot. Immediately seeing a budding relationship with BB-8, we decided to move forward with the classroom adoption. The children responded to BB-8 with empathy and concern. Thinking immediately of his physical and emotional safety, they determined that in order for BB-8 to live comfortably in the classroom, he would need a house, similar to how a guinea pig needs a cage.
The children compiled their ideas into a floor plan and began experimenting with designs based on BB-8's needs, rather than their own. They decided on an open floor plan with a wood floor and a ramp for ease of navigating. The children used the Lego studio in the classroom to build prototypes of the house. Quickly realizing the scale was off, they created mini models of BB-8 out of clay to help with proper scale. They eventually built the house out of wood, using saws and glue to build the structure, and added twinkle lights to make BB-8 comfortable. When it was time to show BB-8 his new house, Matthew was so concerned that BB-8's surprise would be ruined that he covered his eyes. These are small examples of how the children connected real-world hands-on learning and learned about empathy and relationships through their work with technology. They spent the rest of the year caring for their beloved robot friend, and they had many adventures with him throughout the school.
Again, technology is only a tool. It can be misused. But hopefully we have shown you that it can also help us change, grow, and support relationships in a global society. We must be willing to embrace technology and take a lesson from Fred Rogers when it comes to this tool for learning. Yes, we should be skeptical of technology. We should pick apart its value and purpose. But then we need to use that skepticism to help us plan for better and more meaningful ways of using it. We need to set aside old ideas and perhaps bias about technology, especially with young children. We need to recognize that we do not fully understand children in the digital age. We challenge all of you to rethink the way you embrace this tool for learning. If you're comfortable with technology, good, but don't forget to be skeptical. If you are not comfortable with technology, then try stepping outside of your comfort zone. Embrace technology and take a cue from the advocacy video we shared. Try to fear less.